All right, we're going to go live here. This is just going to be a little bit easier, so will not be edited. This is going to be the Kansas City market update for April 12th. That's basically covering the last 30 days. We're also going to compare it to a year ago so that you have a reference of what's going on in the marketplace right now. So let's dig in on the Heartland metro wide. So I'm going to drill down on a couple specific counties just to give you some additional information there. I'm going to tell you just at the top here, if you have specific questions about your home value or the conditions of the marketplace in your area, it's very specific to areas, and we'll get into why. But if you don't watch the rest of the video and you'd like some more information, go to the website, plug in your home value. We've got a home valuator there that can get you fairly close, and I'd be happy to look at the specifics of your home if you're thinking about selling it in the next 12 months. Either way, I'd be happy to chat with you about it, but we can set you up on a market report that will tell you more specifically when homes are selling in your area. So drilling down on the Kansas City Market Snapshot for the Heartland MLS, a couple of things, highlight facts here that I think people should be aware of. Closed sales were about the same as they are last year. So that's an interesting thing, because when you hear people, what I notice is people take in the news and they determine that everything is bad or everything is good based on certain areas of business. And so, interest rates are high, and that's a subjective opinion. They're between 6.5 and 7. If they go to 5.5, I guess you could consider 6.5 or 7 high. Or I hear that real estate is bad. And if you look at national numbers, there's areas in Florida, I have counterparts in California and other coastal areas that are adding a lot of inventory in days on market, and the areas are struggling with values, Florida especially. So the closed sales is the same year over year for the remaining 30 days here, and that's a really interesting fact. There's still the same amount of homes selling in the MLS. Now, the average sale price went up 5.7%. Now, we expect sometimes that real estate will follow inflation. That's about what they suggest that inflation number is, but that's actually a really good number and another indication that residential real estate is a very safe place. If you're considering your home an investment, that's a very safe place to put money if it continues to rise by 5.7%, which is across the board. Johnson County actually experienced a 6.3% rise in value. I'm sorry, 6.8% in Johnson County. Jackson County was a little behind that at 5.3. So still showing stability in terms of the values. Now, the median price went up 2% in the overall Heartland MLS. The days on market climbed very small from 50 to 52. So that's the overall Heartland MLS area, and the supply is up 22%, which sounds like a lot, but it went from 1.8 months to 2.2 months. Now, if you reference that a seller's balance market, or not a seller's market, but a balance market, is probably somewhere between 5 and 6%, then 2.2 months is still an incredibly seller favoring market. So the prices are going up fast, but overall the sales are softening and inventory is rising. Now, that sounds a little inflammatory when I say it like that from a news standpoint, but it's not quite a buyer's market, but the tides are shifting a little bit. Now, what buyers have to understand is if they shift in that favor, there may be other factors that would suggest that now is still a better time to buy homes. So I don't want that idea to cause people to wait, and I'll dig in on that when we talk about interest rates. Jackson County specifically here, the median price is up 2.9%. The days on market is up 6.3%. So just showing a little pressure upwards there on the days on market. Did you know that it was 51 days to sell a home in Jackson County? Because I talk to people every day, and I don't find that most people know that that's the average. That's not our average in Jackson County, but that is interesting to know. Another highlighting factor in Jackson County is the inventory is up 5.7%. So sellers in Jackson County are still getting decent offers, but buyers are clearly getting a little pickier. And we see that in our negotiations, in our timelines for offers, and just fewer bidding wars. In Johnson County, the highlighting fact that I noted was values are up 6.8%, which is an incredibly good number. The median price is up 4.5%. Now, the days on market, interesting. In Johnson County, it's down 12% from 50 days to 44 days on market, which is showing a little bit more pressure there. If you're a buyer making an offer, you may expect that there could be other people making offers as well. 44 days, even though it sounds a little bit higher than maybe your expectation. I say that because I list people's houses and they're like, okay, I should be expecting 5 offers in 7 days, right? Well, not always. 44 days on the market is the average, which includes some new construction, some outlying properties that are high. But if you isolated that to just resale properties of motivated sellers, maybe it's closer to 30 days on the market. The inventory in Johnson County is down year over year 14%. That's an important number. So Johnson County is the exception to the trend, right? Homes here are very hot. This is a faster days on market. Pricing remains really strong, and it's a tight supply, and the buyers are still hungry to buy in Johnson County. Now, if you're listing, you want to do it clean, make sure the house is ready, do it fast, price it right, and then homes are still flying off the shelf, if that's the buzz line that you'd like to use there. Miami County, I'll point out something really interesting, is the average sales price is up, get this, 17.6%. That's an incredibly big number, a good indication that there's probably larger homes selling. And also from an affordability standpoint, there's not a lot of new construction that's under, let's say, 400,000. It's just very rare that you can find anything under 400,000, let alone new construction. And the supply in Miami County is steady at 2.3 months. So it takes a little bit longer to sell a home, 64 days on market, but still the inventory is down. And so that's going to continue to hold values in Miami County. Now, Cass County, what's interesting about Cass County is inventory is the big story in Cass County. This number is really incredible. It's sneaky strong, but the prices are healthy and demand's holding, and sellers are even getting slightly more than they did last year. I'll give you that number here. The average sales price is up 3.5%. And but for now, the sellers still have the edge, but the inventory rising 38.6% is a good indication that we should see values stabilize or maybe even come down there a little bit. So buyers beware. Cass County looks like it may be a real opportunity to buy. So to round out a market update, I want to identify a couple of things that people are asking me about. So we've got trades and tariffs, we've got interest rates, we've got labor shortages, and we've got construction costs. So let's really drill down real quickly on interest rates. So they've been kind of hovering between 6.5 and 7. There is some discussion of interest rates coming down next time the Fed meets. I will suggest to you that if it comes down, let's say it comes down wildly by 1 point, which it won't. And the Fed doesn't set interest rates, by the way. So just so you understand that, let's add that caveat. The bond market is what sets interest rates. And there's a lot of volatility in the markets in general, which is causing investors, to be slower to invest in the bonds, which means interest rates are remaining fairly high. Now, the Fed does have some control over cutting the price of money, and maybe we'll see that. But what I'm going to suggest to you, just specifically as a buyer, is do not let this fact hold you out of the market. I'm not saying this as a salesperson. I'm saying this from an investment standpoint. You see the values in the market report here. They're going up 5 to 7% or 6.8% year over year, every year. Do not let 1% on your mortgage rate hold you out of that investment for a multitude of reasons that I'm not going to get into here. In regards to tariffs, all I'm going to add on that is exactly what I said earlier, is it's adding to uncertainty. And whether we believe that tariffs are good or bad, they provide uncertainty. And when investors are uncertain and they're hesitant to invest in certain things that drive our markets, then it makes the cost of money higher and it makes it more difficult to sell homes, which is what we're discussing here specifically. So what that means is let me add two factors here that I think should help you understand how this affects you. In a conversation this week with some real sellers, what I said was, you're right that the tariffs have caused a lot of uncertainty across the board in a lot of financial markets. However, it has not appeared to affect the residential real estate market because values continue to drive there, and so do sales. We're not seeing the pace of sales fall. You would, if you're thinking, well, the market's bad and less people are buying homes, the fact of the matter is that's just not true. If you're a seller out there and you're watching this, and especially if you made it this far in the market update, you may have some additional questions about your specific property. Go to our website and type in your home value, type in your address. It'll give you an algorithm that gets you close. Now, it could be still up to 5, even 10% off sometimes, depending on the area. I would be happy to look at your specific value. If you'd like to send me your address, DM here on social, wherever this is posted, reply to this market update in an email if that's where you received it. Or you can always call or email me, david@vannoyre.com. Take care. Thanks for the time.